Welcome to On Cooldown, the weekly WoW news show where we cover the major happenings of the week. Today we will talk about Classic WoW, release date announced, plus initial beta testing results, and amazing Twitch viewership. A new WoW cinematic with finally positive reviews. Thrall, the big green boy, is coming to once again save our butts. A couple of interviews were conducted where we found out about potential WoW expansions being made into separate servers, as well as what's going on with Tyrande in 8.2. Lastly, WoW's 15th anniversary will happen with goodies, a collector's edition bundle, and all seem reasonable? What the fuck? It's Friday, so it's news day. A lot of things happened for Blizzard in WoW, and a lot of things happened outside WoW, so strap yourselves in because we're coming in hot. Thanks, Flame. No weird intros this week. Nope. Oh, shit, thanks, I got this. Break a leg. Yeah, just go. How's the wife and kids? I'm 19 years old, man, like what the fuck? We tried, guys, we really did. But let's hit it. Earlier this week we had several announcements for Classic WoW. On one hand, beta is out for a lot of people. Not us though, not us. But dear lord, the popularity of the game exploded on Twitch. Have you guys even seen Asmongold's 100k viewer stream? I'm actually super happy for this and super happy for WoW. This will bring back so much needed WoW love, and hopefully a lot of people who didn't get to experience it can finally experience it. Although how many will be able to stay in the game remains to see. On the other hand, the official release date is on August the 27th, with more specific release times based on geographical conditions. We knew it would be released in the summer, and it is, in the last 3 days of it. For all you guys who have to go to school or start important studies, well, I suppose nobody's getting educated for a few weeks, maybe months. If you're just hearing about this, Classic WoW will be included in your normal WoW subscription, so you don't have to pay anything extra, although you do need the game, in case you haven't played WoW ever. And leading up to the release of the server, we will have beta testing phases in May, June and July for 1 day each time. Blizzard is aiming at getting as many people as they can to literally stress test the server and see how well things will be functioning. To be eligible for the beta test, you need to revisit your account settings and reevaluate your beta options, and you should see a new unticked version which will be there for WoW Classic, and you need to tick that. Of course, obvious requirements will still be in place, such as having an active subscription or game time on the account. Blizzard will also be looking at the amount of playtime, since they want a diverse pool of people to be invited. So if you felt like you were either too old of a player or too new, don't fret, just apply and wait for the invite for any of these sessions. Blizzard also announced that 2 weeks prior to the server's release, we will have the option to pre-create or reserve character names. Most likely we will have no available game services like name changes and race changes, so the way you customize your character is the way your character will look like. No barber or transmog either. The first initial issues and bugs have been reported in case you encounter them in the world. Note that the devs are aware and of course in the process of fixing them. There seem to be a couple of hunter pet issues as well as combat difficulties. If you remember, hunters had a dead range spot where their melees were too far away and their targets were too close to be shot at. Not relevant, I just wanted to mention that. But if your auto shot was engaged and you wanted to switch to melee combat, you might run into issues. Let's move to and talk about the newest cinematic released. If you haven't seen it already, pause this video and open a new tab on your browser, because we don't want YouTube to think you got bored of our shit and started watching random cinematics. And go watch it. What are you doing? It's amazeballs! Cinematic as a whole in terms of production value was amazing as always. Loved the scenery, the throwback to TBC and shamanism if you know your Oshogun lore. The emotion value is also crazy, seeing Thrall once again, hearing Thrall once again gave me goosebumps. We were hinted that we will get Thrall in 8.2 to save Bane, so Sourfang's invitation came to nobody's surprise. The rogue attack was crazy good too, since I'm not sure if we ever had rogues in any other cinematics. Unless they were all stealth. Not to mention proper Forsaken. I mean, sure, we had some undead archers here and there in the expansion cinematic, but it's not the same. And let's not even get started on the fact that Saurfang has cheats and can execute a stealth rogue without a weapon. Let's talk about Thrall's weapon though. Dear god, that looks badass. Clearly he doesn't have the Doomhammer, and I'm fine with that. We had to give up the Doomhammer too, but my question is, why does he get to use a two-hander and I don't? If you know anything about enhancement shamans in WoW, you know that Blizzard took away the two-handers and gave us 2 one-handers because we were too OP. Yes, no other reason. Let's talk about the message. Thrall looks like we have always known him. Long braided hair, muscular and ready for combat. I mean, he was just sharpening what could be a sickle for all that wheat outside of his house. So he clearly wasn't just playing video games in his room this whole time. Mom! I'm working! I'm not playing video games! I'm a professional YouTuber! God. Yes, peanut butter is fine, thank you! Jeez. I love you too! The dialogue is full of underlining messages and hints all around. Story-wise, they were talking about the Horde being broken and that Thrall isn't there to save it, even if he thinks that's what everyone wants. Which is a metaphor for Blizzard to tell us, without actually telling us, that yeah, the game is in a pretty messed up spot and we asked for Thrall to save it as a meme, with recently us wanting it more than just a meme. Or that's what I would like to believe. But these cinematics take a while to make, a big while. In the past, cinematics such as these took years to make, or at least more than a few months, meaning that Blizzard had the script for this one for quite a while, most likely long before the BFA negativity started to build up. But even so, we always voiced our displeasure of how they handled Thrall in recent expansions, so either the broken part refers to that, or it refers to what we have now, you decide. I'm just happy that they're bringing him back, and no, I don't want him to be war chief. Regardless of how they do the story, Thrall doesn't deserve to be a war chief. He has been absent from the Horde for years, and during the Horde's most crucial moments also. Saurfang hasn't. Bane hasn't. Lorthamar hasn't. Not saying that these are the only viable candidates, because they are, but you cannot hope to gain the respect of your people, which is us guys, we are the people, by not being there and then suddenly showing up and reminding them that you once were a president. And with this being said, we need some Alliance cinematics, right? I love my Horde, but the last few were very Horde-centric, and the Horde doesn't mean much without the Alliance. Hit those comments, guys. What do you want to see as the next cinematic? What Alliance plots, maybe characters, etc. Moving on to the world of questions and answers. There were a few interviews conducted earlier this week. A lot of filler questions and answers, but a few did stand out, so let's take them one at a time. j.allen Brack was interviewed by Forbes for more broader subjects. Talks were had about Blizzard's decision about expanding to mobile, about the leadership, and how everything feels after Morhaime left. Not to mention the partnership with NetEase for Diablo Immortal and how can that still make Diablo a Blizzard game. Most of the answers felt very mechanical, as to nobody's surprise, I suppose. When it came to NetEase, Brack seemed a little bit too aware of our point of view and tried to justify it and put us at ease about NetEase. Yeah! Regardless of what business and development models the Chinese company has, the Diablo game will remain true to the Blizzard model, meaning no pay-to-win microtransactions that speed up leveling or gearing, and things of the like. In the discussion about mobile as a platform, Brack took an interesting approach with which I partially agree.
Torches! Get your torches! Pitchforks! Can't be an angry mob without pitchforks!
The platform war between PC and mobile is silly, to put it mildly, and it's an extension of the Xbox versus PlayStation war, again silly. Having multiple platforms in a gaming industry adds a certain economic competition for the targeted audience, and competition raises product quality. The interviewer went on to specify that the majority of the BlizzCon negativity suffered earlier was due to the fact that players felt disenfranchised since we got a mobile game during a PC convention instead of the Diablo 4 game, the continuation of the IP we wanted and knew they were working on. This all felt like they were putting PC on the backseat while cashing in on the mobile market. Brack did a very nice job at not answering the point of the question, to which I was a bit disappointed. I personally was excited to see Diablo on phone, initially. Then I found out Diablo 4 wasn't getting announced or released for that matter. Then feeling more and more that their aim for mobile has been a major company direction while most of their IPs were suffering, making it seem they put less effort into the main games, for which we cared and went to BlizzCon for, and more effort into a market audience that they didn't have but hoped to milk. Personally, that's my beef with Blizzard, and I'm still waiting for them to prove me wrong. The Gamescom question was eluded, as much as anything can be eluded in these interviews. Adding extra deadlines and projects for the devs to have demos and playable ports ready for the convention would stress the overall development of the games, which is why Blizzard isn't attending Gamescom this year. I agree. They fucked up with BlizzCon last year, they cannot afford another subpar event this year as well. Lastly, an interesting question was asked of Allen, and that of possible TBC and Wrath servers. Allen basically said that they will always do what's best for Blizzard. If Classic works and people like it, and people want more, they will do TBC and Wrath of the Lich King. But with an emphasis on the difficulty. They have the tools to do it, but it's still a strenuous project to undertake. A few other interviews talked about some cool 8.2 aspects. Design-wise, Nazjatar is supposed to make us feel like Azjar is inviting us into her domain with a constant wall of water always looming over us. Not to mention she is a constant talking head while we quest through the zone. At the same time, one of Mechagon's functions is to provide us with things to do. The key aspect of being is things as in fun activities that just make the game more enjoyable. We covered this in last week's episode and previous ones as well. In BFA we always felt like there was something to do, but that something was repeating more island expeditions, world quests, war fronts. These were not made to be repeatable content, not in the sense of fun at the very least, but more as in necessary. Mechagon, however, seems to be different in that regard, and I think I've praised these too much, so just play them when they come out. In 8.2 we will explore the story of the Highborn Night Elves, the noble society that fell to the bottom of the ocean during the War of the Ancients, a war in which Tyrande, Malfurion and others participated in, and we will not see them in this patch. The devs mentioned that Tyrande got her revenge for Teldrassil in the Darkshore Warfront. I'm a Horde player and I really think she didn't though. I think Tyrande still needs to chop some more heads to compensate the burning of her entire homeland, people, cities and general ecosystem. I don't think Tyrande got her revenge if every 3 weeks Horde gets to farm the Darkshore rares, so... The main argument behind the argument was that there is just too much story to tell, and I agree. If there's no room for more, then yeah, it sucks, but I get it. I don't like the fact that they considered a poor warfront to be the end of Tyrande's vengeance. Taking back a very small portion of what she lost isn't really evening up the scores in my book. But hey, we are still missing an Alliance cinematic, and if Tyrande and by extension the Night Elves won't be a part of the story in 8.2, then maybe they will shine someplace else. Also, for all the PvP fans, Marcelian and myself included, we still won't have PvP vendors in 8.2. I know, but in protest, join me on Horde and Marcelian on Alliance, and let's raid some faction capitals as a message, because senseless violence is all we have left, lol. Marcelian&Online is by no means endorsing violence against the fellow man in no shape or form. This is a satire. Its message was made for comedic purpose and not to be taken seriously. Please, we love our YouTube channel and we pay our bills with it. Please, YouTube, do not demonetize the video. On the plus side, there are speculations of a certain Azerite essence that will add a 5th talent slot for PvP. That would actually be really cool. PvP is lacking a bit on the diversity side since the meta is pretty stale to be honest, and a little more chaos could breathe some life back into the game. What do you guys think? And let's finish off with the WoW's 15th anniversary. Boy oh boy, Christmas is early this year. Blizzard will release a collector's edition with some really awesome goodies, and I mean really awesome. a rag statue that looks sick in black and gold hues, and you know I love my flamey dudes, some sweet art, and in-game mounts, and all of this for $100. Currently, most if not all sold out as pre-purchases already, but they will be released properly on October the 8th. And following this up, we will have the anniversary in-game as well, similar to what we had almost 5 years ago with the Molten Core raid. Although not 100% confirmed yet, we will have a series of old bosses as a challenge, and if we complete them, we will get the Obsidian Worldbreaker mount. This year is looking great for our goodies, and I'm a huge dragon fan, not to mention anything involving purging by fire. Hope you enjoyed today's episode, and if you like our content, you might be interested in seeing some of our past episodes, which we have covered. I would like to thank our patrons for their support of our dream. It's clearly not required, but very much appreciated, and if you want to become a Patreon of ours, check the details down in the description. Thanks for watching the video, and have an amazing weekend.